Hello, people. We've got the giggles at the moment because for some reason Emily just kind of like just. So what Emily does is she nods at me to say that she's just pressed record, but for some strange reason, not only was she saying the word vase on Monday, and suddenly gone all American on me. So instead of nodding, she went night night. She's completely lost the plot. This lockdown has completely got to her. So anyway, we're back in the house. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day as we call it, kind of like at work for a Wednesday. Back in did I just say the Enchanted Wood? We're not there.
No,
we're in the. No, I didn't. Right,
you said we're back in the house.
Back in the little wooden house, and we are going to be on chapter 3 of The Adventures of the Wishing Chair. Emily's going to be reading, and this episode is called The Grabbit Gnomes, and we were trying to decide yesterday whether the Grabbit Gnomes ever appeared in the Enchanted Wood. I don't think they did.
Think so.
I don't think so. But
they're probably similar to the Red Goblins.
Yeah,
so.
True. We sort of remember the names from perhaps when we read it before. The names seem familiar. So Emily was asking for a recap of what's happened so far. So in chapter 1, which is the one you read, where they got the chair from the old antique shop and escaped on it. And yesterday they went on their first adventure, which was to a giant. So they went to a castle, a giant's castle. Daddy gave the giant a very voice, and frankly, by the end of it, I really regretted the fact that I'd given, because I needed.
That's like in our audio books. He did there was loads of characters, and he did Scottish, Irish, and there's different voice for each one.
And it just becomes hard work, because I can't remember what voice I've just given to somebody. So yeah, I regretted that. So I'm hoping the giant isn't going to reappear in a later chapter because I made him too gravelly and too shouty. But what happened? So they escaped from the giant, and they escaped along with a little pixie called Chinky, I believe his name was. So Chinky, and he escaped on them with them on the wishing chair, and they brought him back. So Chinky, I might be wrong on Pixie. He might be an elf. He's whatever the official. Wait,
did they look? Because they said they were going to look back the next day, and see if it had grown wings again. Did they do that?
Yeah, they did, and they had to wait until the wings grew, and so they keep checking it. Wings grew, they jumped in it, went off to the giant's castle. They rescued Chinky, the elf stroke pixie, or whatever he is.
Yeah.
We will find out when we read this one. I'm sure it'll say it is a pixie. I can see in the opening line it's a pixie. Chinky is a pixie, and he now lives in the playroom at the bottom of the garden, similar to this. If it was in our house, this is where Chinky the elf
We should give you
live.
A tour of this because it's kind of like our studio.
Well, feel free. So this is where we can imagine that we can put some sort of elf down here and pretend that Chinky the elf, that could be his bed down there, and this is his...
We have 2 beds, but that one's kind of destroyed.
Yeah.
This one's normal.
And, pixies like furs, so we have kind of furs down here.
We have this random little pink pouch.
Yeah.
It has nothing in it, and then we have our boards. And desk, and door, and windows.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Right, okay, I will take over because we're 3.5 minutes in. Blimey, all these people are just waiting for the story. Right, episode 3, The Grabbit Gnomes. Over to you, the Stinker.
It was such fun to have a real live pixie to play with. Molly and Peter went to their playroom every day and talked with Chinky, whom they had so cleverly rescued from the giant's castle. He refused to have anything to eat because he said he knew the fairies in the garden and they would bring him anything he needed. Chinky, will you do something for us? Asked Molly. You know we can't be with the magic chair always to watch it when it grows wings, but if you could watch it for us and come and tell us when you see it has wings, then we could rush to our playroom and go and have another adventure. It would be lovely if you did that. Of course, said Chinky, who was a most obliging, merry little fellow. I'll never take my eyes off that chair. Well, will you believe it? That very night, just as Chinky was going off to sleep and the playroom was in darkness, he felt a strange little wind blowing from somewhere. It was the chair waving its wings out. Chinky was up in a trice and ran out to the playroom to the house. He knew which the children's room was, and he climbed up to the old pear tree and knocked on the window. It wasn't long before Molly and Peter, each in warm dressing gowns, were running down to their playroom. They lighted a candle and saw the chair's red wings once more. "Come on," cried Peter, jumping into the chair. "Where are we off to this time, I wonder?" Molly jumped in too, and Chinky squeezed himself beside them. The chair was indeed very full. It flew out of the door and up into the air. The moon was up, and the world seemed almost as light as day. The chair flew to the south, and then went downwards into a strange little wood that shone blue and green. "Hello, hello, we're going to visit the Grabbit Gnomes," said the pixie. "I don't like that. They grab everything they can, especially things that don't belong to them. We must be very careful they don't grab our wishing chair." The children came to rest in a small clearing near to some queer toadstool houses. The doors were in the great thick stalks, and the windows were in the top part. No one was about. "Oh, do let's explore this strange village," cried Molly in delight. "I do want to." "Well, hurry up then," said Chinky nervously. "If the Grabbit Gnomes see us here, they will soon be trying to grab this, that, and the other." The two children ran off to the toadstool houses and looked at them. They really were lovely. How Molly wished she had one at home in the garden. "It would be so lovely to have one to live in." "Whatever is Chinky doing?" said Peter, turning round to look. "He's got a rope or something," said Molly in surprise. "Oh, don't let's bother about him. Peter, do look here. There are 6 little toadstools, all laid round for breakfast. Fancy! They use them for tables as well as for houses." Suddenly there was a loud shout from a nearby toadstool house. "Robbers! Burglars!" Someone was leaning out of the window of the big toadstool house, pointing to the children. In a trice, all the Grabbit Gnomes woke up and came pouring out of their houses. "Robbers! What are you doing here? Robbers!" "No, they're not," said Chinky, pushing his way through the crowd of excited gnomes. "They are only children adventuring here." "How did you come?" asked the gnome at once. "We came in our wishing chair," said Molly, and then she wished she hadn't answered, for the Grabbit Gnomes gave a yell of delight and rushed off to where their chair was standing in the moonlight. "We've always wanted one! We've always wanted one!" "Oh, we've always wanted one! We've always wanted one!" they shouted. "Come on, let's take it safely to our cave where we hide our treasures." "But it's ours!" cried Peter indignantly. Besides, how shall we get home if you take our chair?" But the gnomes didn't pay any attention to him. They raced off to the chair, and soon there wasn't a tiny piece of the chair to be seen. For to Peter's dismay, all the little gnomes piled themselves into it and sat there on the seat, the back, the arms, everywhere. "Go to our treasure cave!" they shouted. The chair flapped its red wings and rose up. The gnomes gave a yell of triumph delight. "We're off! Goodbye!" "Ooh, look!" said Molly suddenly. "There's something hanging down from the chair. What is it?" "It's a rope!" said Peter. "Oh, Chinky, you clever old thing. You've tied it to the leg of the chair, and the other end is tied to that tree trunk over there. The chair can't fly away." "No," said Chinky with a grin. "It can't. I know those Grabbit goblins. I may not know what 3 times 7 are, but I do know what robbers these gnomes are. Well, they won't find it easy to get away." The chair rose up high until the rope was so tightly stretched that it could not go farther. Then the chair came to a stop. There hovered in the air, flapping its wings but not moving one scrap. The gnomes shouted at it and yelled, but it was no good. It couldn't go any farther. "Well, the gnomes are safe for a bit," said Chinky, grinning. "Now what about exploring this village properly, children?" So the two spent half an hour peeping into the quaint toadstool houses, and Chinky gave them gnome cake and gnome lemonade, which were perfectly delicious. All this time the gnomes were sitting up in their wishing chair, high above the trees, shaking their fists at the children and yelling all kinds of threats. They were certainly well caught, for they could go neither up nor down. "Now we'd better go home," said Chinky suddenly, pointing to the east. "Look, it'll soon be dawn. Now listen to me. I am going to pull that chair down to earth again with your help. We'll put it down quickly, and it will land on the ground with such a bump that all the gnomes will be thrown off. Whilst they are picking themselves up, we will jump into the chair and off we'll go." "Good idea," grinned Peter. So he and Molly and Chinky went to the rope and pulled hard. Hand over hand, the chair came down and from the air rapidly, and when it reached the ground, it gave such a bump that every single gnome was thrown off. "Ooh!" they cried. "You wait, you wicked children!" But they didn't wait. Instead, the three of them jumped into the chair, and Peter called out, "Take us home, please!" Before the Grabbit gnomes could take hold of the chair, it had risen up into the air, but the gnomes pulled at the rope, and down came in the chair again. "Quick, cut the rope!" shouted Peter to Chinky. Poor Chinky, he was feeling in very one of his many pockets for his knife, and he couldn't find it. The gnomes pulled hard at the rope, and the chair went down still farther, and then Chinky found the knife. He leaned over the chair arm, slashed at the rope, and cut it. At once the chair bounded up into the air. "Free! Home, home!" sang Peter, delighted. "I say, talk about adventures. Every one seems more exciting than the last. Wherever shall we go next?"
Well, wherever they're going to go next is going to be seeing the Ho-Ho Wizard. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? The Ho-Ho Wizard.
I quite like how it's not like it. I can't remember if they're normally over like a few chapters, because this one, like each chapter is kind of like a different story.
Yes.
But in Enchanted Wood, it goes at each like
Yeah, we had
little
that come
story
like the-
goes over like 3 chapters.
Yeah, the Red Goblins.
So that-
3 or 4,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Right, so we're back tomorrow. I guess it's me reading with Squirty. So we're back for the Ho-Ho Wizard tomorrow. You've done all your schoolwork for the day, I believe.
Yes. Here's what I found about this book, though. It like the
Yeah,
Enchanted
I'm the
Wood
s-
one.
I'm the same.
Like, it just flips
I'm the
over.
same with this one. Because, yeah, in your little house seems to be full of ants. So, because there was in the middle of that, I lost my page because an ant was walking over my hand.
Oh.
And all I ended up doing was flicking it off my hand, lost the page, flicked it down onto the book. I think you spotted that there was something amiss.
I just heard like Daddy going.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just heard.
I was freeing myself of an ant. Right, okay, let us say TTFN will be back tomorrow for the Ho-Ho Wizard, and have a jolly good hump day. It's a little bit grotty out there, but it's dry, cold, a little bit warmer tomorrow, I think. Bit sunnier, a bit
I'm not
warmer.
gonna say good night.
No, you're not going to say night-night, despite you. You're going to say vase?
Nope, I'm gonna say TTFN.
Okay. Good.
Goodbye.
Well, say something American.
Oh.
Y'all.
Y'all.
See y'all.
See y'all.